Good morning, class. Okay, so today we're going to get started and we're going to look up at the objective. So the objective today is the student will be able to use correct verbiage and tenses of the word. So within our objective, can anyone raise their hand and tell me what they may highlight that would be key words to them in what we will be learning today? Anyone? Robert? Student. Okay. Yeah, so student would be a word that we would highlight in our objective. Go ahead and highlight that. Y'all can follow along with me. Okay. The student will be able to use correct verbiage and tenses of the word. Is there any other words that pop out at you? Someone besides Robert, since he just answered. Okay, Maria? Did you lose it? And? No. And's going to be one of our regular sight words. It's not going to be something of importance. But if we look back in there, the student will be able to use correct verbiage and tenses of a word. Are those words that you've never heard probably? You've probably never really, you're not too familiar with verbiage, right? That's vocabulary, that word that may be new to you. Anyone that isn't really comfortable with what verbiage or tenses of a word mean, please raise your hand and we'll check. Okay, so quite a few of you, see? So we're definitely learning something new today. Okay, so in there, we'll go ahead and we can circle verbs or verbiage, verbiage and tenses, because that's what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at the correct usage of the verbiage and tenses in a word. Okay? So, before we move on to the actual lesson, what I want you guys to do is I want you to turn with your shoulder partner next to you, and I want you to put these in your own words. And you can start off by possibly saying, we are going to learn what? What did we just talk about? Robert, again. Verbiage and tenses. Yeah, tenses. Okay. So that's what we're going to be learning. So go ahead. I'm going to give you about a minute. And we will go through and you work with your shoulder partner on, in your own words, what our objective means, so we can make sure that we have that clear. Okay? Starting now. We're going to learn verbiage and tenses of word. We learning tenses of word. So, Robert, you said we going to learn verbiage and tenses of word. Okay, so I know what you're talking about, but what would you usually say? If you look back at our objective, what does it say? The student will be able to use correct verbiage and tenses of a word, right? That's something that we missed in there. So let's look back. Remember, you said, we going to learn verbiage and tenses of word. So we could have said, we are going to learn verbiage and tenses of a word. So you got that right, that we're learning verbiage and tenses. But let's be more specific. What's our action? We are going and of a word. Okay, let's be more specific about our answers. Okay, Maria, you said that we learning tenses of word. Okay, so we have half of it there, right? So we're learning about verbiage and tenses of a word. So you said we learning tenses of word. And that goes back to kind of the same thing with Robert, or your shoulder partner. So we can say we are learning tenses of a word because we're trying to be specific, right? We want to know exactly what we are talking about. But good job. Really good job. You're using great academic vocabulary in your sentences, and I'm very proud of you. Okay, so now what we're going to do with our objective is we're going to do a timed pair share. So, what I want you to do, you have two shoulder partners, or you should. If you're on an end, go ahead and move to the back with another end partner so you have a partner. Okay? Or you can turn around, but I want you to be with your other shoulder partner. So if you were with your right shoulder partner this time, you're going to be with your left shoulder partner. Okay? I want you to be with someone different. Okay? So this time what we're going to do is we're going to do a timed pair share, kind of like our shoulder partners. And I'm going to time you. And I want you guys to think of a few things that we may be doing today in our lesson. Can you predict what we will be doing? Can anyone tell me what predict means? Anyone? Okay, you? Joe? Back in the back? It means we guess something. Okay, yeah, I would say that's kind of correct. We do guess things. Whenever you predict, you guess what it will happen after something else. You predict what will happen in the future, right? It's kind of like a guess. I agree. Okay, so I'm going to start my timer, and you guys are going to go ahead, and you are going to you're going to predict what you think that we will be doing in our lesson today, okay, regarding verbiage and tenses of a word. Okay, so I'm going to start it now. I'm going to give you a minute and a half or so. If we need some more once we get there, we'll go ahead and adjust it. But here we go. We're going to learn. Remember, Maria, I told you we are going to learn, right? We want to be specific. Okay, keep going. Okay, looks like our minute and a half is up. Does everyone have their predictions made? Anyone raise your hand if you do not? Okay, so it looks like we're good to go. Okay, so what we're going to move on to now, I just want to make sure that we all have a clear understanding. So what I put some answers on the board here, right behind me. I want you to give me a self-assessment, and you're going to rate yourself, okay? What you're going to do by rating yourself, you're going to rate yourself by 1, 2, or 3, okay? 1 being, I understand this concept. I have it nailed. 2 is, it looks familiar, or I have studied something like this before. Okay, so I'm kind of okay with it, but there's still kind of a gray area. I'm not quite sure, but I've definitely seen it before. Okay, 3 is I have no clue what you're talking about. I don't know what I'm doing. I just need help. I need some learning, right? And that's okay. We all need some learning. So whenever I say 1, go ahead and, you know what? Never mind. Let's do it this way. Go ahead and with your finger, tell me if you are a 1, or if you are a 2, or if you are a 3. And there's no shame in anything, because we are all here to learn. So I'm going to tell you one more time. 1 is, I understand this concept, got it nailed. 2 is, it looks familiar. I've seen it before, but I'm not quite sure on it completely. 3, I have no idea. No idea what I'm doing. Okay, so go ahead and I want y'all to raise your hand for me so we can see where we're at. Okay. Okay. Well, okay, well, let's move into the lesson and see how, if we can learn a little bit more on for those of you that have it nailed, awesome, you can help us. The ones that need a little bit more help, and we need to get it rock solid like you guys, and we'll learn a little bit more in our lesson, okay? Closure. Okay, so, guys, today, how well did we meet our objective today? Do you think that our objective posted on the board, which was the student will be able to use correct verbiage and tenses of a word, is correct? Do every single one of you think that you can use correct verbiage and tenses of a word? Go ahead and raise your hands. I want you to do thumbs up if you do, thumbs sideways if we might need a little bit more work, thumbs down if we're not confident. Okay? And there's no shame at all. We're all a family here. Ready? So go ahead and raise your thumbs. Okay. So we all have a pretty good idea, right? If there is anyone that may need a bit more help, go ahead and pull me to the side if you're kind of afraid to say it in front of everyone else. But there's no shame in needing to learn a little bit more. I could totally reteach this one more time because there's always more things that we can learn. Okay? So I'm glad that we had a good lesson today, and I'm glad that y'all have learned a lot. Have a great day.